Emily Carter took a deep breath as she gazed into the dense, fog-covered mountains before her. The air was thick with the scent of pine and moss, and a mysterious stillness seemed to envelop the entire landscape. Emily had been working as an ecologist for nearly a decade, dedicating her life to the study of rare plant species and the preservation of natural habitats. At 28 years old, she had seen many forests and mountains, but none quite like this. The mountains of this region were known for their dense fog, which often lingered throughout the day, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. As she ventured deeper into the mountains, the fog grew thicker, shrouding everything in a veil of white. Every corner held unknown secrets, and the occasional glow of rare plant species at night created the illusion of a starry sky beneath the canopy. These glowing plants were the primary reason for Emily's research expedition. She had been here for several months, collecting data and samples, trying to unravel the mysteries of this anomalous place. Emily's research was driven by a personal mission. She had lost her parents in a natural disaster when she was a child, an event that had profoundly shaped her life. Since then, she had been searching for answers, trying to understand the forces of nature that had taken them from her. Her mentor, Dr. Robert Lang, a wise and experienced scientist, had always encouraged her curiosity while teaching her to approach the unknown with a scientific mind. On this particular day, Emily set out from her camp with her notebook and sampling equipment. The forest was alive with the sounds of nature, the rustling of leaves, the chirping of birds, and the occasional distant call of an animal. She walked cautiously, her eyes scanning the ground and the surrounding foliage for any signs of the rare plants she was studying. As she moved deeper into the forest, the fog seemed to close in around her, making it difficult to see more than a few feet ahead. She paused for a moment, listening intently. It was then that she heard a faint, barely perceptible sound. It was a low moan, almost like a whisper carried on the wind. Emily's heart began to race with anticipation. She had encountered many strange things in these mountains, but this sound was unlike anything she had heard before. Curiosity piqued, Emily decided to follow the sound. She moved cautiously, each step deliberate as she navigated the uneven terrain. The sound grew louder, guiding her deeper into the forest. Her senses were on high alert, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary awaited her. After several minutes of careful trekking, Emily stumbled upon an incredible sight. Lying on the ground amidst the dense foliage was a creature she had never seen before. It was tall, about 2 meters in height, with iridescent skin that shifted colors from pale green to deep blue, depending on its state. Its eyes, deep and expressive, looked at her with a mixture of plea and pain. Emily's breath caught in her throat. She knew immediately that this was no ordinary creature. Her scientific instincts and human compassion took over. She knew she had to help this being, whatever it was. Carefully, she approached the creature, speaking softly to it in soothing tones. The creature, which she later learned was named Zarek, seemed to understand her intentions and did not resist as she gently lifted it. Ignoring the protests of her colleagues and the warnings of the local authorities, Emily carried Zarek back to her research station. As she entered the station, Dr. Robert Lang was waiting for her. His gray hair and penetrating eyes revealed years of wisdom and experience. He looked at Emily with a mixture of disapproval and curiosity. "What is this, Emily?" he asked, as she gently laid Zarek on the examination table. "I found him in the forest," Emily replied, not taking her eyes off the alien creature. "He's injured, and I couldn't leave him." Dr. Lang frowned but did not argue. Instead, he helped Emily tend to the being. They worked in silence, their focus entirely on stabilizing Zarek's condition. Emily used her knowledge of biology and medicine to treat his wounds, while Dr. Lang monitored his vital signs. Zarek's skin seemed to react to Emily's touch, changing color with each movement, a fascinating phenomenon that she made sure to document meticulously. For the next few days, Emily spent every waking hour observing and caring for Zarek. She monitored his breathing, measured his temperature, and recorded every change. Sometimes, it seemed as though Zarek was trying to communicate with her, sending faint mental impulses that she couldn't quite decipher. As Zarek began to recover, Emily realized that she had stumbled upon something extraordinary. This creature, with its advanced abilities and unknown origins, could hold the key to understanding the mysteries of the forest and perhaps even more. She knew her life had changed forever, and a new, perilous journey was about to begin. As the days passed, Emily noticed Zarek's condition improving rapidly. His iridescent skin, which had initially appeared dull and lifeless, now shimmered vibrantly under the soft lighting of her research station. His deep blue eyes followed her movements with increasing alertness and curiosity. Despite the initial shock of encountering this extraordinary being, Emily's scientific curiosity and sense of duty kept her focused on understanding and helping Zarek. Dr. Robert Lang, though skeptical at first, became increasingly fascinated by Zarek's unique physiology. The two scientists worked tirelessly, often late into the night, meticulously documenting every observable characteristic. Zarek's recovery was nothing short of miraculous. His wounds healed at an astonishing rate, and his strength returned with each passing day. Emily and Dr. Lang were careful not to overwhelm him, providing a safe and comfortable environment. One evening, as Emily sat beside Zarek, a sense of calm washed over her. The station was quiet, save for the occasional hum of equipment and the soft rustle of leaves outside. She was deep in thought, reflecting on the incredible journey that had brought her here, when she suddenly felt a strong mental impulse. It was like a flash of light in her mind, accompanied by a series of vivid images. Startled, Emily looked at Zarek, whose eyes were fixed intently on her. She felt an unmistakable connection, as if Zarek was reaching out to her telepathically. "My name is Zarek," a clear and distinct voice echoed in her mind. Emily's heart raced. "Can you understand me?" she asked aloud, her voice trembling with excitement. "Yes," Zarek replied, his mental voice resonating with a calm yet profound presence. "I am part of an ancient race that has been observing the development of your planet. We left behind complex mechanisms that can alter the climate and prevent global catastrophes." Emily was stunned. The implications of Zarek's words were staggering. "Why are you here? What happened to you?" she asked, trying to gather her thoughts. "We faced a threat we could not overcome," Zarek replied. "But our knowledge can help your world. You must find the mechanisms and use them." "Where are these mechanisms?" Emily inquired, understanding that this could be the key to saving their planet. "They are scattered around the world, hidden in places protected by nature and time," Zarek explained. "I can help you find them, but you must be prepared for dangers." Emily felt a surge of responsibility and determination. She recorded everything Zarek told her and shared her findings with Dr. Lang. He studied her notes with caution but couldn't hide his growing interest. "This is incredible, Emily," he said, his voice tinged with awe. "If this is true, we can save Earth from impending ecological and climate disasters. But you must be careful. The government and military will not overlook this." Emily nodded, understanding the gravity of their discovery. She knew that their work could attract unwanted attention and lead to numerous challenges. But she was resolute in her mission. With Zarek's knowledge, they had a chance to make a significant impact on the future of humanity. The following days were filled with intense work. Dr. Lang and Emily pored over maps and documents, trying to locate the first of the ancient mechanisms. Zarek, now able to move and communicate more freely, provided invaluable insights. His telepathic abilities made explanations quick and efficient, transferring his knowledge directly into Emily's mind. However, news of their discovery soon reached the authorities. Emily noticed increased surveillance around the research station. Lieutenant James Mitchell, a strict and disciplined officer, had been assigned to monitor their activities. His presence was a constant reminder of the precarious situation they were in. "We need to leave, Emily," Dr. Lang said one evening as they discussed their next steps. "I've heard that the government plans to capture Zarek. If they get to him first, they'll use his knowledge for military purposes." Emily agreed, knowing that Dr. Lang was right. "I have an idea," she replied. "There is an abandoned lab in the mountains. We can hide there for a while. I'll contact scientists and activists who can help us." They gathered all necessary items and left the research station under the cover of night. Zarek looked exhausted, but determined to embark on this journey. They walked along winding paths, avoiding patrols and staying clear of populated areas. The abandoned lab proved to be an ideal hideout, isolated and secure. Dr. Lang continued to provide them with information and resources, helping them establish contact with other scientists. Emily sent several messages to her colleagues and activists, explaining the situation and asking for help. The responses were swift, with many agreeing to assist, understanding the importance of their mission. As they settled into the new lab, Zarek showed Emily the location of the first ancient mechanism. It was a temple hidden deep in the jungle, surrounded by natural barriers and protective traps. Emily knew their journey would be fraught with danger, but she was prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With determination and a newfound sense of purpose, Emily, Dr. Lang, and Zarek set off on their quest to uncover the ancient mechanisms. They knew the path would be perilous, but the fate of their world depended on their success. The journey was just beginning, and Emily felt a steely resolve within her. She would not stop until she had unlocked the secrets that could save their planet. The journey to the hidden temple was arduous and fraught with peril. Emily, Dr. Lang, and Zarek trekked through dense jungle, navigating treacherous terrain and enduring the oppressive heat. Each step brought new challenges, but the resolve of the trio remained unwavering. They knew that their mission was critical, and the knowledge they sought could be the key to averting a global catastrophe. Zarek's guidance was indispensable. His telepathic abilities allowed him to sense hidden dangers and identify the safest paths. Despite his weakened state, his determination to help his new allies was palpable. Emily marveled at his resilience and the bond they were forming through their shared purpose. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, the foliage grew thicker, and the sounds of wildlife filled the air. It was a living, breathing ecosystem that seemed almost aware of their presence. Emily couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and respect for the natural world around them, a stark reminder of what they were fighting to protect. One evening, as they set up camp by a small stream, Zarek shared more about his race and their mission on Earth. "We have been observing your planet for millennia," he began, his voice resonating in their minds. "We intervened only when necessary, leaving behind mechanisms that could stabilize the climate and prevent disasters. But our technology is powerful and can be misused." Dr. Lang, who had grown increasingly fascinated by Zarek's revelations, asked, "What kind of threats did your race face that brought you here?" Zarek's expression darkened. "A force beyond our understanding, something that consumed entire worlds. We were unprepared. My mission was to safeguard the mechanisms and ensure they were used wisely. But I was separated from my people during the last confrontation." Emily listened intently, feeling the weight of Zarek's words. "We won't let your sacrifice be in vain," she vowed. "We will find these mechanisms and use them to protect our planet." As dawn broke the next day, they resumed their journey. The path became more challenging, with thick vines and underbrush slowing their progress. Zarek, however, seemed to have an innate sense of direction, leading them steadily towards their goal. After several days of grueling travel, they finally reached the outskirts of the temple. It was a magnificent structure, ancient and overgrown with vegetation, yet still exuding an aura of majesty and mystery. The temple's entrance was guarded by intricate carvings and statues, testaments to the advanced civilization that had built it. Emily felt a surge of excitement and apprehension. "This is it," she whispered, her voice filled with awe. "We're finally here." But their arrival did not go unnoticed. As they approached the temple, they encountered signs of recent activity. Footprints and discarded equipment indicated that others had been there. Emily's heart sank as she realized that they were not alone in their quest. "We must be cautious," Dr. Lang warned. "The military could be ahead of us." Zarek nodded, his eyes scanning the surroundings. "The temple is protected by traps designed to deter intruders. We need to proceed carefully." Entering the temple was like stepping into another world. The air was cool and damp, and the walls were adorned with ancient symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. Emily's senses were on high alert as they moved deeper into the structure, guided by Zarek's knowledge of the layout. They encountered several traps along the way, pressure plates that triggered dart guns, hidden pits, and collapsing ceilings. Zarek's telepathic warnings and Dr. Lang's keen observation skills helped them avoid the worst of these dangers. Emily felt a growing sense of camaraderie and trust among them, knowing that each was essential to their survival. Finally, they reached the inner sanctum of the temple. At its center stood the first of the ancient mechanisms, a large, intricate device that pulsed with a soft, blue light. Emily approached it with reverence, feeling the immense power it radiated. "This is it," she said, her voice trembling with anticipation. "The key to saving our planet." Zarek stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the mechanism. "We must activate it carefully. Its power must be harnessed with precision." As they began the activation process, Emily felt a surge of energy fill the room. The mechanism responded to their touch, humming with life. Suddenly, a series of images flashed in her mind: blueprints, instructions, and warnings. Zarek's voice guided her through each step, ensuring that they followed the correct procedure. Just as they were about to complete the activation, a loud noise echoed through the temple. They turned to see a group of soldiers, led by Lieutenant James Mitchell, entering the sanctum. "Stop right there," he shouted, his weapon trained on them. Emily's heart pounded as she faced the armed men. "We're trying to save the planet," she pleaded. "You don't understand what's at stake." Mitchell hesitated, his expression conflicted. "I have my orders," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. Before the situation could escalate, Zarek stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. "Lieutenant, your planet is in grave danger. Let us complete our work, and you will see the truth." Mitchell's resolve wavered. The soldiers exchanged uncertain glances, clearly influenced by Zarek's words and presence. Finally, Mitchell lowered his weapon. "I'll give you a chance," he said, "but if you're lying, there will be consequences." Emily nodded, relief flooding her. "Thank you. Just watch and see." They resumed the activation, and within moments, the mechanism came to life. A wave of energy spread throughout the temple, restoring balance and harmony to the surrounding environment. Mitchell and his men watched in awe as the climate around them began to stabilize. "This is just the beginning," Zarek said, turning to Emily and Dr. Lang. "We have much work ahead of us, but together, we can save this world." Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. Their journey was far from over, but they had taken the first crucial step. With Zarek's guidance and the support of their growing team, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The temple's energy resonated through the jungle, an invisible pulse that seemed to bring the forest to life. Birds chirped harmoniously, the oppressive humidity lessened, and a cool breeze rustled the leaves. Emily, Dr. Lang, and Zarek stood in awe, feeling the profound impact of the ancient mechanism. Lieutenant James Mitchell and his soldiers, now silent witnesses to this miracle, shared in their astonishment. "Unbelievable," Mitchell murmured, lowering his weapon completely. "What is this place?" Zarek, his eyes glowing with satisfaction, explained, "This is one of many ancient mechanisms left by my race. They are designed to stabilize and protect the planet's climate. We must find and activate all of them to ensure Earth's survival." Mitchell's skepticism was replaced by curiosity and a hint of hope. "How can I help?" Emily sensed the sincerity in his voice. "We need all the help we can get. The military resources at your disposal could be crucial in locating and protecting these mechanisms. But we must work together, with trust and transparency." Mitchell nodded, signaling his men to stand down. "All right, I'm in. But we need to move quickly. Others will be coming after us." With Mitchell's support, their team grew stronger. They set up a temporary camp near the temple, using the area as a base of operations. Over the next few days, Emily, Dr. Lang, and Zarek worked tirelessly to decipher the information from the activated mechanism. Zarek's telepathic abilities proved invaluable, allowing them to access and understand the alien technology. Emily sent messages to trusted scientists and environmental activists, explaining their discovery and requesting assistance. The responses were overwhelmingly positive. People from all over the world offered their expertise, resources, and support. Within days, a network of allies began to form, united by a common goal. One evening, as the team gathered around a campfire, Emily reflected on their progress. "It's incredible how far we've come in such a short time, but the real challenge lies ahead. We need to locate the remaining mechanisms and activate them before it's too late. Dr. Lang, gazing into the fire, added, "We must also be prepared for resistance. Not everyone will understand or support our mission. There are powerful forces that see Zarek and his technology as a threat." Zarek nodded solemnly. "We must remain vigilant. My race faced similar challenges. Knowledge is a double-edged sword. It can save or destroy, depending on who wields it." Mitchell, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "I'll handle the security. My men and I will protect this operation with everything we've got. But we need to stay ahead of those who want to use this technology for their own gain." Their plan was set into motion. Emily and Dr. Lang focused on analyzing the data and mapping out potential locations of the other mechanisms. Zarek provided invaluable insights, guiding them with his extensive knowledge of his race's technology. Mitchell coordinated with his military contacts, securing resources and intelligence to aid their mission. Weeks turned into months as they embarked on a global quest. Each new mechanism presented unique challenges, hidden in remote mountains, deep underwater, or buried beneath deserts. The team faced natural disasters, treacherous terrains, and constant threats from rival factions. In one harrowing encounter, they found themselves navigating a dense jungle in South America. The air was thick with humidity, and the sound of wildlife created an eerie backdrop to their journey. They knew they were getting close to another mechanism, but so did their adversaries. As they neared the location, an ambush awaited them. Mercenaries, hired by a shadowy organization, launched an attack. Gunfire erupted, and chaos ensued. Emily, taking cover behind a fallen tree, shouted orders to her team. Mitchell's soldiers returned fire, but they were outnumbered. Zarek, using his telepathic abilities, coordinated their defense. He sensed the movements of their attackers, guiding the team with precise instructions. Emily's heart raced as she realized the gravity of their situation. They were fighting not just for their lives, but for the future of the planet. In a desperate move, Zarek unleashed a burst of energy, disorienting their attackers long enough for the team to regroup. With Mitchell's leadership and Zarek's guidance, they managed to fend off the mercenaries. The cost was high, with several soldiers injured, but they prevailed as the dust settled. Emily felt a renewed sense of determination. "We can't let them stop us. We're too close." Mitchell, bandaging a wound on his arm, nodded. "We need to move quickly and stay ahead of them. They'll be back, and next time they'll be even more prepared." Despite the challenges, they pressed on. Each new mechanism they activated brought a renewed sense of hope and a tangible impact on the environment. Slowly, the climate began to stabilize, and signs of recovery appeared around the world. The fight was far from over, but with every step, they were closer to achieving their goal. As they continued their journey, Emily knew that the real battle was not just against their adversaries, but against time itself. The fate of the planet hung in the balance, and they had no choice but to persevere. Together, they would uncover the secrets of the ancient mechanisms and harness their power to save Earth, no matter the cost. The relentless pursuit of the remaining mechanisms took its toll on the team. They faced constant danger, and the stress began to wear on everyone. Despite their progress, the looming threat from rival factions and the government's interest in their work meant they had to remain constantly vigilant. Trust and unity were their only shields against the growing external pressures. One evening, after weeks of navigating perilous terrains, Emily, Dr. Lang, Zarek, and Mitchell found themselves in a secluded mountain base in the Himalayas. The air was thin, and the temperature was biting cold. The team huddled together around a small heater, discussing their next move. "We're close to the next mechanism," Zarek said, his voice a calm beacon amid the tense atmosphere. "It's located in an ancient monastery, hidden deep within these mountains. But we must tread carefully. The path is treacherous, and we are not alone." Mitchell, rubbing his hands together for warmth, nodded. "We've had reports of increased military activity in the area. We need to be prepared for anything." Emily, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, looked at her team. "We've come too far to turn back now. Let's get some rest and head out at first light." The team settled into an uneasy sleep, the cold air a constant reminder of their harsh surroundings. As dawn broke, they began their ascent, navigating the narrow, icy paths with caution. The beauty of the snow-capped peaks contrasted sharply with the ever-present danger. Halfway through their climb, they heard the distant hum of helicopters. Emily's heart sank. "We've been tracked," she said, urgency in her voice. "We need to move faster." Zarek's glowing eyes scanned the horizon. "We must reach the monastery before they do. It's our only chance." Pushing themselves to their limits, the team finally reached the ancient monastery, its stone walls a sanctuary against the outside world. They hurried inside, securing the heavy wooden doors behind them. The interior was dimly lit, the air thick with the scent of incense and history. Dr. Lang approached an ornate altar, examining the symbols etched into the stone. "This is it," he said, excitement mingling with exhaustion. "The mechanism should be hidden behind this wall." As they worked to reveal the mechanism, the sound of approaching helicopters grew louder. Mitchell's men took up defensive positions, ready for a confrontation. Emily and Dr. Lang, guided by Zarek, uncovered the ancient device, its intricate design a testament to the advanced technology of Zarek's race. Just as they began the activation process, the doors burst open and soldiers poured into the monastery. Gunfire erupted, the sacred space now a battlefield. Emily and Dr. Lang continued working on the mechanism, their determination unwavering. Amid the chaos, a shadow moved stealthily through the fray. Emily didn't notice until it was too late. A figure emerged behind her, grabbing her arm and pulling her away from the mechanism. She struggled, her heart pounding, until she recognized the face. It was Lieutenant James Mitchell. "What are you doing?" Emily shouted, shock and betrayal flooding her senses. Mitchell's eyes were cold. "I'm sorry, Emily. Orders are orders. I have to bring Zarek and this technology to the government." Emily's mind raced. "But you've seen what we're trying to do. You know this is the only way to save our planet." Mitchell's grip tightened. "I know, but I have my duty. I can't turn my back on my country." Zarek, sensing the betrayal, turned to face Mitchell. "Your actions will doom your world. This knowledge is not for destruction." Before Mitchell could respond, one of his soldiers, torn by loyalty and newfound understanding, intervened. "Sir, we can't do this. We've seen what they're fighting for. We have to help them." Mitchell hesitated, the conflict within him evident. Emily seized the moment. "James, we need you. The world needs you. Don't let fear dictate your actions." Mitchell's resolve faltered, and he released Emily. "All right," he said, his voice heavy with resignation. "I'll help you, but we need to be quick. Reinforcements are on their way." With Mitchell back on their side, the team redoubled their efforts. Zarek guided them through the final steps of activation. As the mechanism came to life, a surge of energy filled the monastery, and a profound calm settled over the mountain. The soldiers outside, seeing the miracle unfold, lowered their weapons. The realization that this technology could indeed save their planet dawned on them. The team, now united with new allies, stood together, determined to continue their mission. Emily looked at Mitchell, gratitude and understanding in her eyes. "Thank you," she said simply. Mitchell nodded, his expression resolute. "Let's finish this. Together." With renewed strength and unity, the team prepared to move to the next location, knowing that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges. But they were ready, armed with the knowledge that they were fighting for a cause greater than themselves, a future where humanity and nature could coexist in harmony. The discovery of the ancient mechanism in the Himalayan monastery had given the team a renewed sense of purpose and unity. They had narrowly escaped capture, and with Lieutenant Mitchell now fully committed to their cause, they felt more determined than ever. However, they knew that their journey was far from over. The next mechanism awaited them, and with the government and rival factions closing in, they had to act swiftly. Emily, Dr. Lang, Zarek, and Mitchell, along with their team, left the monastery under the cover of night. Their destination: a remote desert in northern Africa, where Zarek believed the next mechanism was hidden in an ancient buried city. The journey would be arduous, but they had no choice. The future of their planet depended on their success. As they flew over the arid landscape, Emily briefed the team on their mission. We need to locate the entrance to the buried city and find the mechanism before anyone else does. The information Zarek provided suggests that the city is protected by a series of traps and puzzles. We must be prepared for anything. Mitchell, now fully integrated into the team's dynamic, studied the maps and notes Zarek had shared. We'll need to move quickly and quietly. The moment we start digging, we'll attract attention. They landed at a remote airstrip and traveled by jeep to the coordinates Zarek had pinpointed. The sun beat down on them mercilessly, and the vast expanse of sand seemed to stretch on forever. They set up a small base camp and began their search for the entrance. Hours turned into days as they combed the desert, using every tool and bit of knowledge at their disposal. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they discovered a series of ancient markings on a rock formation partially buried by the sand. Emily and Dr. Lang worked to decipher the symbols while the rest of the team kept watch for any signs of approaching danger. "This is it," Dr. Lang said, excitement in his voice. "The entrance is beneath this formation. We need to dig carefully to avoid triggering any traps." The team worked tirelessly, their shovels slicing through the sand with precision. After several hours, they uncovered a stone doorway leading down into darkness. Emily felt a shiver of anticipation and fear. "Let's go," she said, her voice steady. "Stay close and be ready for anything." They descended into the ancient city, the air growing cooler as they moved deeper underground. The narrow passageways were lined with intricate carvings and ancient hieroglyphs, telling stories of a civilization long forgotten. Zarek guided them, his knowledge of the ancient culture invaluable. As they ventured further, they encountered the first of many traps. Pressure plates in the floor triggered arrows to shoot from the walls, and hidden pits opened beneath their feet. Emily's heart pounded in her chest as they navigated the deadly obstacles, her mind focused on the mission. After what felt like an eternity, they reached a vast chamber illuminated by shafts of sunlight streaming through cracks in the ceiling. In the center of the room stood the mechanism, an awe-inspiring structure of intricate gears and glowing crystals. Emily approached it cautiously, her eyes wide with wonder. "This is incredible," she whispered, her voice echoing in the chamber. "We need to activate it, but we must be careful. Zarek, can you guide us?" Zarek nodded, his glowing eyes focused on the mechanism. "I can, but it requires precise movements and understanding of the symbols. Follow my instructions exactly." As Zarek guided Emily and Dr. Lang through the activation process, Mitchell and the rest of the team kept a vigilant watch. The tension was palpable, each second feeling like an eternity. Just as they were nearing completion, the ground began to tremble. Dust and debris fell from the ceiling, and the distant sound of footsteps echoed through the passageways. "They're here," Mitchell said, his voice filled with urgency. "We need to finish this now." Emily's hands moved with a newfound urgency, following Zarek's instructions with precision. The mechanism began to hum with energy, its crystals glowing brighter with each passing moment. Just as the footsteps grew louder, the mechanism activated, sending a wave of energy through the chamber. The tremors stopped, and the air grew still. The mechanism's glow filled the room, casting an ethereal light on the ancient carvings. Emily let out a breath she didn't realize she had been holding. "We did it," she said, her voice filled with awe and relief. Zarek's expression was solemn. "This is only the beginning. The next mechanism is even more critical, and our enemies will stop at nothing to prevent us from reaching it." As they made their way back to the surface, the reality of their situation settled over them. They had succeeded in activating another mechanism, but their journey was far from over. The race against time and the ever-present danger of their pursuers meant they had to stay one step ahead. Back at their base camp, they prepared for the next leg of their journey. Emily gathered her team, determination burning in her eyes. "We've come this far, and we can't stop now. We must continue, no matter the cost. For the future of our planet, we will see this through to the end." With renewed resolve, they set out once more, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Their mission was clear, and their bond as a team stronger than ever. They were not just fighting for survival, but for the hope of a better future. A future where humanity and nature could coexist in harmony. The team's victory in the African desert was a fleeting moment of triumph. Their success had drawn unwanted attention, and as they flew to their next destination, the tension was palpable. Emily knew that the stakes were higher than ever. The government and other factions were closing in, and any misstep could mean the end of their mission and possibly the world. Their next destination was the dense, uncharted rainforests of the Amazon. Zarek's insights had led them to believe that the final mechanism lay hidden in the heart of the jungle, protected by both natural barriers and ancient guardians. As their plane soared over the lush canopy, Emily briefed the team. From here on out, we need to move with utmost caution. The rainforest is as dangerous as it is beautiful. Between the wildlife, the terrain, and whatever ancient defenses lie in wait, we have to stay sharp. Mitchell, ever the tactician, studied the maps and intel. We'll land at a remote outpost and proceed on foot. The area is too thick for aerial support or heavy equipment. We'll be on our own out there. The plane touched down at a secluded airstrip, and the team disembarked into the humid, verdant embrace of the Amazon. They loaded their gear into lightweight packs, checked their weapons and equipment, and set off into the jungle. The thick foliage and constant hum of insects created an almost palpable sense of urgency and foreboding. The journey through the jungle was grueling. They hacked their way through the dense underbrush, crossed treacherous rivers, and navigated around dangerous wildlife. Emily led with determination, every step bringing them closer to their goal. Zarek's knowledge of the ancient paths proved invaluable, guiding them through the maze of vegetation and hidden dangers. One evening, as they set up camp, Zarek spoke to Emily in hushed tones. "We're close. I can sense the mechanism's energy, but I fear we're not the only ones. The jungle is alive with more than just its natural inhabitants." Emily nodded, understanding the gravity of his words. "We need to stay vigilant. Everyone, double the watch tonight. We can't afford to be caught off guard." That night, as Emily lay in her tent, she found sleep elusive. The weight of their mission pressed heavily on her mind. She thought of the world beyond the jungle, a world teetering on the brink of disaster. Their success could mean salvation, but failure would bring unimaginable consequences. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke the stillness of the night. Emily sprang to her feet, grabbing her flashlight and weapon. She emerged from her tent to find Mitchell and Dr. Lang already on alert. Zarek's eyes glowed faintly in the darkness, scanning their surroundings. "It's not the animals," Zarek said, his voice tense. "Something else is out there." Before they could react, figures emerged from the shadows, their movements stealthy and coordinated. Emily's heart raced as she recognized them, government operatives, heavily armed and ready for a fight. The leader, a stern-faced woman with piercing eyes, stepped forward. "Dr. Knight, I presume," she said coldly. "I'm Agent Carter. You and your team are coming with us." Emily stood her ground, her eyes flicking to Mitchell and the others. "We're not going anywhere with you, Carter. We have a mission, and we won't let you stop us." Carter's expression hardened. "This is bigger than you, Dr. Knight. Hand over the alien and the knowledge you've gathered, and no one gets hurt." The tension was thick, the jungle silent as if holding its breath. Mitchell's hand tightened on his weapon, ready for a confrontation. But before anyone could make a move, Zarek stepped forward, his eyes glowing brighter. "No one has to get hurt," Zarek said, his voice resonating with an otherworldly power. "But we cannot allow you to hinder our mission. The fate of your world depends on it." For a moment, it seemed like Carter might relent. The power and conviction in Zarek's voice were undeniable. But the stalemate was broken by the sudden sound of a helicopter overhead, its spotlight cutting through the darkness. Reinforcements had arrived for Carter's team. Emily knew they were outnumbered and outgunned. "Fall back," she shouted. "Into the jungle now." The team moved swiftly, using the dense foliage for cover. The government operatives gave chase, but the jungle was their ally, its labyrinthine paths and natural barriers slowing their pursuers. As they ran, Emily could hear the distant shouts and the roar of the helicopter, but she focused on putting as much distance between them and Carter's team as possible. They ran until dawn, finally stopping at a hidden clearing. Exhausted and out of breath, they regrouped, assessing their situation. "We can't keep running forever," Mitchell said, his voice grim. "We need a plan." Emily looked at Zarek, who was scanning the horizon. "We're close," he said, a hint of hope in his voice. "The mechanism is near. We just need to reach it before they do." With renewed determination, they set off once more. The jungle was waking up around them, the calls of birds and the rustle of leaves filling the air. Emily felt a surge of hope. They were close to their goal, and despite the dangers, they would not stop. As they pushed deeper into the jungle, Emily knew that the final battle was approaching. They had come so far and faced so many challenges. But with Zarek's guidance and the strength of their resolve, she believed they could succeed. The fate of the world hung in the balance, and they were ready to do whatever it took to save it. The sun had just begun to rise, casting a warm glow over the jungle canopy. Emily and her team, weary but resolute, pushed forward through the dense foliage. The oppressive humidity and the constant drone of insects seemed insignificant compared to the monumental task ahead of them. Each step brought them closer to the final mechanism, hidden deep within the heart of the Amazon rainforest. "We're nearly there," Zarek said, his voice steady but urgent. His eyes glowed faintly, reflecting his heightened senses. "I can feel the energy emanating from the mechanism. We must hurry." Mitchell checked their surroundings, ever the vigilant soldier. "We need to stay sharp. Carter and her team are still on our trail, and they won't give up easily." Dr. Lang adjusted his glasses, his mind racing with calculations and hypotheses. If Zarek's right, this mechanism could be the key to stabilizing the planet's climate for good. But we need to be prepared for whatever defenses the ancients might have put in place. The group moved with a sense of urgency, their senses attuned to every sound and movement in the jungle. As they pushed through the thick undergrowth, Emily felt a growing sense of anticipation. This was it, the culmination of their journey, the moment that could change everything. Suddenly, they emerged into a clearing. Before them stood an ancient, towering structure covered in vines and moss. It was a temple, hidden away from the world for centuries, its stone walls inscribed with intricate symbols and carvings. "We found it," Emily whispered, awestruck by the sight. "This is the place." Zarek stepped forward, his eyes scanning the temple's facade. "The mechanism is inside. But be cautious, there will be traps and guardians protecting it." As they approached the temple, a sense of reverence mixed with urgency filled the air. The team navigated the stone steps, their movements careful and deliberate. Zarek led the way, his knowledge of the ancient architecture guiding them past hidden traps and pitfalls. Inside, the air was cool and damp, filled with the scent of earth and history. The walls were adorned with murals depicting scenes of nature and celestial phenomena. Emily couldn't help but marvel at the artistry and the advanced understanding of the world these ancients possessed. "Over here," Zarek called out, leading them to a central chamber. In the middle of the room stood a massive, intricate device, a complex array of gears, crystals, and glowing orbs. This was the final mechanism, the heart of the ancients' technology. Dr. Lang approached the mechanism, his eyes wide with wonder. "Incredible! This is beyond anything I've ever seen. The energy output is off the charts." Mitchell kept a watchful eye on the entrance. "We need to activate it before Carter and her team catch up." "How do we do it, Zarek?" Zarek placed his hand on the mechanism, his eyes glowing brighter. "It requires a specific sequence to unlock. Stand back. I need to concentrate." As Zarek began the activation process, the mechanism came to life. The gears turned, the crystals glowed, and a low hum filled the chamber. Emily watched in awe, feeling the energy pulsate through the air. Suddenly, a commotion outside the temple broke their concentration. The government operatives had arrived, their shouts echoing through the stone corridors. Emily's heart raced as she realized they were out of time. "Mitchell, Lang, take defensive positions," she ordered. "We need to hold them off until Zarek finishes." The team sprang into action, positioning themselves at the temple's entrance. Mitchell's steady aim and Dr. Lang's quick thinking created a formidable defense. Emily joined them, her resolve unshaken. Carter and her operatives stormed into the temple, weapons drawn. "Stand down, Dr. Knight," Carter demanded. "You're interfering with national security." Emily met her gaze with unwavering determination. This is bigger than national security, Carter. This is about the survival of our planet. A firefight erupted, the sounds of gunfire and shouts filling the chamber. Emily fought with everything she had, her mind focused on protecting Zarek and the mechanism. In the midst of the chaos, Zarek's voice rang out. It's almost done. Just a little longer. Emily's heart pounded as she continued to fend off the attackers. She glanced back at Zarek, who was enveloped in a bright light. The mechanism was nearing full activation. Just as the fight reached its peak, a brilliant flash of light filled the chamber. The mechanism roared to life, its energy spreading throughout the temple and beyond. The ground trembled, and a wave of energy radiated outward, passing through the jungle and into the atmosphere. The operatives froze, their weapons lowered as they watched in awe. Carter's stern expression softened as she realized the magnitude of what was happening. Zarek stepped away from the mechanism, his eyes dimming as the energy subsided. It's done. The planet's climate is stabilizing. Emily lowered her weapon, breathing a sigh of relief. We did it. Carter approached, her demeanor changed. I didn't realize. This technology is incredible. You've done something extraordinary. Emily nodded, feeling a sense of unity and purpose. This isn't just our victory. It's a victory for everyone, for the planet. As they left the temple, the tension between the two groups eased. The jungle seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, the balance restored. Emily knew that their journey wasn't over, but for the first time, she felt a glimmer of hope. The world had been given a second chance, and it was up to them to ensure it was not squandered. With Zarek's guidance and the team's unwavering dedication, they had accomplished the impossible. Now, they would continue their work, building a future where humanity and nature could thrive together.